And you please tell
So,
me which slide I need to play. Shall I
please.
share the, yeah, shall I share? Okay, ma'am. Okay.
So I just wanted to ask, I hope you remember me talking to you once earlier during one of these sessions. Can you just put it in the chat box as to which was the topic that I had taken with you initially?
Uh, Sorry for the interruption, ma'am. Is the slide visible to you? Can you see the
Yeah, it
slide?
is.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Okay.
Swati ma'am, thank you so much. You have answered that I had taken a vocabulary with all of you. So I am glad that you remember me and you remember the name of the session also, because it's like a lot of it in a small go. You are actually doing 4 sessions every day. And I'm sure the learning is very enjoyable and enriching both. In the first session that I got to you, and I had a little vocabulary because it was just one period. I thought it would be best to straight away to the topic. But now I'm lucky enough today to have 2 sessions with you consecutively. And the first and foremost, I would like to put up here, and I would to seek responses from you through your chats, is if all of you can just close your eyes once, I would like to take you down the memory lane for time. It, at least have your videos on so that I can also look at the lovely faces that I am talking to. I can see some videos being switched on. Thank you so much. That is, if at all you are comfortable. Okay. So I request all of you to be where you are. Just close your eyes for a while. And like I said, I would like to take you for a trip down your memory. I want you to recall the time when you were in your 11th or 12th standard, trying to think precisely and decide as to what is it that you wish to do after your 12th grade. As which vocation would you prefer to choose? Which entrance exams take? What would you like to see yourself as after a few years? What is to graduate? I would like you to respond as to what is it came in front of your eyes. What was the profession that you wished to take? I'm able to see the chat box. Is it some problem with me system? Doctor. Okay. Used to sit in. Thank you so much. Vidhu wanted to be a musician. Jyoti ma'am wanted to be a doctor. Absolutely. We all had different dreams, and I'm taking you a little away from the topic, but it is integrally related to our topic as well. Could some of you just unmute yourselves? Yashpalji wanted to be a teacher. So we are actually teachers by choice, and some of us are teachers by chance. So it is only the difference between choice and chance But now, since we are all on the same platform, Vakil sir says he just wanted to do graduation while teaching just happened to you, I think. So we want to develop the skill in which we are. If some of you could talk about your journey from your class 12th to where you are right now, any one of
Hello,
you. Yeah. Good
hello.
morning, sir. May I know your name, please?
Mr. Vakil Ahmed.
Ji, Vakil sir.
My name is Vakil Ahmed.
Yeah.
मैम एक्चुअली जब मैं ट्वेल्थ क्लास कर रहा था तब मुझे मैं रूरल बैकग्राउंड से बिलोंग करता हूँ। मुझे ज़्यादा जानकारी
Okay.
नहीं थी कि आगे क्या करना चाहिए। तो मैंने सिर्फ
Ji.
मेरे दिमाग में ये था कि ट्वेल्थ करने के बाद ग्रेजुएशन करना है। फिर मैंने ग्रेजुएशन किया, फिर एमए किया। उसके बाद फिर मेरे कुछ दोस्त बीएड कर रहे थे, तो मैंने भी फॉर्म डाल दिया है और मैंने एंट्रेंस दिया, क्वालिफाई हो गया। उसके बाद एडमिशन ले लिया, फिर मैंने कंप्लीट किया। और जब फर्स्ट टाइम मैंने पढ़ाना, जब मैंने वहाँ पर कोर्स क्रिएट किया, तब से दिमाग में मेरे आया कि नहीं, टीचिंग अच्छा है। और उसके बाद से मैं तरह से मेरी हॉबी बन गई टीचिंग करना और रीडिंग करना। मेरी दो ही हॉबी है जो मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा पसंद है। एक तो है रीडिंग करना और दूसरी है टीचिंग करना। तो मैं बाय टीचर हुआ हूँ बाई चांस। ये अलग बात है कि मैं पहले बहुत अर्लियर टाइम में मैं नहीं जान सका या सोच सका कि मैं क्या करना चाहता था उस समय।
Thank
नाउ
you,
आई एम
Vakil
बाय
sir.
चॉइस टीचर। थैंक यू मैम।
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vakil sir. And we actually need passionate teachers like you who might not have taken up teaching as their first choice, or they might have been some confusion during the initial part of their decision making. But now that you are into this, you are completely into this with your body, mind, and soul. And so does Suyashi Rohila tell us that initially she did not want to be a teacher, but joining the BEd program changed her view completely. I totally agree. And if I may just quickly relate it to the writing skill topic that we are going to take up today, I would like to mention here that if we have such probing introductory sessions with our students before we take on with a writing skill where the children need to put out their thoughts on paper, I think it would help them assimilate their ideas much more quickly than what we expect them to. So basically, we need to trigger them at the right place. And I have tried to put up a few lines here by Annie Campbell, which say we can teach our children to flap their wings, but conditions have to be just right for them to fly. And in fact, these conditions, we are the ones who have for our students in the classrooms, because writing is one such skill which has to come from within. And before a child actually expresses himself, he should know what he is thinking about. He should have the right words, the right vocabulary to express it. So this topic much more relates to my previous session where we talked about the right kind of stimulus being provided. Can we move on to the next slide, Anamika ma'am? So this little picture talks of so much of writing, what writing is about, what kind of stimulus needs to be there, what can they do in writing, what all can they think of. There has to be grammar, there has to be a writer, there has to be his experience, there has to be some repetition, there can be metaphors, written part can be expressed in blogs. The child needs to have an identity, there can be text, the child can draw some parallelism, there can be some irony in his writing, there can be some fallacies, there can be some cultural connect. So there is so much that one particular skill can have. There can be alliterations, there can be juxtapositions, but we will not just be bothered about so many difficult words that are appearing here on the screen, but we can just get a fair enough view as to what all writing skill can encompass. Ma'am, the next slide, please. Anamika, ma'am, may I have the next slide? Last time
Hello.
Ji, ma'am. Is it Anamika, ma'am? Can I have the next slide? Yes. Okay, so this little picture, ma'am, the previous slide, please. What is writing all about? Ma'am, can I have the previous picture, the image? Can some of you just write down quickly what did you see in the little glimpse of the previous slide? Ma'am, can I have the previous slide here? Okay, if any one of you were, in a fraction of a second, see what we had on the slide just before this. Can I have the next slide, ma'am? The previous slide, please.
The pictures of animals.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much. So there were pictures of animals. Vakil sir, I can see that you have just told us there were pictures of animals. What was it all about actually? What were those pictures communicating to us? Vidhu ma'am, Swati, Vijeta, thank you so much. There were animals, there were stags, yes. What were those pictures telling us? Were they something?
Uh,
What is the purpose of having pictures here? What is this image all about? Can you see some rocks? Is it something on rocks?
Is it
Ma'am,
like a
I think
fossil?
I guess
Yeah,
these are hieroglyphs.
actually,
Fossil
Hieroglyphs.
kind of pictures, yeah.
Fossil.
Uh, th-
maybe a river is also there after the rock.
Okay. Okay.
they seem like the hieroglyphs that are maybe made by the Neanderthals communicating something. So it
Yeah.
actually looks like a scene from a movie where the characters, put them to
Okay.
educate the children about the animals and surroundings.
Okay.
Maybe
Wonderful.
some movie I saw.
Vidhu, thank you so much. So I can see how your imagination is just running wild with one picture, which I had not thought of it would give so much stimulus. But thank you so much for the varied responses. And yes, it could be a cave painting, right? There were some hunters, Yashpalji says. Absolutely, some hunters hunting the animals and some people trying to capture it, capture the very scene on rocks. So probably one of the early men, they tried to depict it on their rocks, and it's a part of a cave painting. These are animals on different rocks, says Lalit Kumarji. Absolutely. So what are they doing here? What are they telling us? You have told us a lot about what you think these images are all about. So do you think it's communicating something to us? Is it telling a story? Is the still image trying to give us some information about that time?
Hello,
Yes. Yes, Vidhu?
ma'am Swati here.
Yeah, Swati, sorry.
Yes, they depict a communicative language. I mean, maybe used at that time. There
Okay.
was no written form. There were no alphabets or like that. So they represent some symbols. They want to convey. They want to communicate with others.
Absolutely. So you have, hit the nail on the head by saying so. Thank you so much for that response. They are actually
Thank you, ma'am.
communicating. And thank you so much. And this happened when there was communicate. So can I have the next slide, please? Talks about why I had put this image here. Anamika ma'am, if I can have the next slide. I'm sorry to have you with me all along the session, but
No,
wonderful.
not an issue, ma'am. Actually, I was having some issues. I was trying some network connection.
Okay. Okay, so what is writing actually? A lot of it has already been thought about and talked about in a lot of other sessions. Can somebody for me? Can
Writing
yeah.
writing form of human communication by means of a set of a visible marks that are related by convention to some particular structural level of language.
Thank you so much for that. So they are actually set of visible marks. We did see some visible marks in the previous slide, but they are not structured to a level to make it into a language. So basically, whenever some symbols are structured in such a way that they are by convention followed by the rest of the tribe, rest of the people as an authenticated language and further on propagated in similar manner, it is termed as a language. Can somebody read the next point as well?
Languages are systems of symbols. Writing is a system for symbolizing these symbols. Writing renders language visible.
Thank you. So I think I will pick up the last line here. Writing renders language visible. So language is something which needs to be communicated. But what is it that makes it visible? It is the writing. It is a written part that makes it visible. And now we have different forms of writing, different genres of writing, different places where we can write, different ways that we can express. So there was a time when writing was done on palm leaves. There was a time when it was done on rocks. There was a time when it was gradually evolved and started to do on paper, on cloth, on with the with the help of pens, and now we can see that writing is also done on the digital medium. And I think when we talk of the digital medium, this is something that interests our young learners the most. And now is the time online for most of our classes, even in schools. So, when it comes to writing, when it comes to WhatsApping their teachers, when it comes to writing a blog, I think they suddenly get some more interested because here we give them a little laxity when we talk in terms of accuracy. So there is a totally different debate of accuracy and fluency, right? I will just pull on this thread a little later. Can we have the next slide, ma'am? So what is writing? I have a few more points for you. If I can have the next slide played by ma'am. Just give me a second. So these are some of the technical glitches that we sometimes face. I'm really sorry for that. Writing, what is writing? It is vital for teachers to understand the stages of writing so that they can help their students advance to higher levels. Because we are very well aware of our students. Which are the stages of writing that are actually there? Can somebody mention? Like, because I have just mentioned there's one higher level, advanced level, higher level of writing. So, which are the stages of writing where our students generally are found? Are they at the advanced level of writing? Are our students at the advanced level of writing? No,
No, ma'am.
absolutely, Swati ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Yes,
They're actually below. I should say because writing skills are developed at the last. So they are very at a very primary stage of writing.
absolutely. Thank you, Kanika, for this information. Because our students are still struggling with the other three skills. And as you said, Kanika rightly pointed out that writing comes much later. We have L, S, R, and W. So writing comes much later, and our students are still trying to struggle with listening, speaking, and reading skills. And I think Antu ma'am very carefully pulled out the threads in the morning about reading and how we can help our students enhance reading. So, from the very beginner to the intermediate and then further on to the advanced stage, we need to bring our students. So, we are still trying to pull them to the intermediate level of writing. Can I have the screen, please? Anamika ma'am, will you be able to play the slides for us? Anamika ma'am, am I audible to you? If you could just tell me, is your net okay, or would you like me to play the slides? Because when I play the PPT, I miss out on the discussions that I'm having with my lovely participants. Anamika ma'am, are you there?
Yeah, ma'am. Can you see the screen now? I have already shared it.
We
Hello.
cannot see it, ma'am. We cannot see it. We can just see the logo of Diet Daryaganj.
Okay. I don't know what's the problem is. I've
Okay,
shared it. It's yeah. It's with wait, ma'am. Wait. Can you see it
uh,
now? Screen
no, we
sharing.
cannot see it. Can any of the participants see the screen that Anamika ma'am is sharing with us? Because I cannot see ma'am's screen at all.
No, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Okay,
just give
thank
me
you.
2 minutes. I'm working on it.
Okay, no problem. So we were talking of fluency and accuracy here. Yeah, the screen isn't visible till now.
It's not visible, ma'am. Some problem is there with my system. Aditi,
Okay,
ma'am, you can also run the PPT. I have made you the presenter. In the meanwhile, I'm
okay.
also working on it.
Yeah. Ma'am, there would be a humble request to you and to my participants. I'm sorry for the inconvenience caused, but friends, I will not be able to see your chat simultaneously. So, in case you wish to share anything, you may just unmute yourself and I will readily, I would really like to listen to what you express and how you express. So, while I start to share my screen, well, it's not thank you right now. My screen might be showing you thank you, but I still want you here with me. Okay. Okay, please tell me, is my screen visible to you? If you can just unmute yourself and quickly say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am, it's
Yes,
visible.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you
ma'am.
so much. Thanks a lot.
Yes, ma'am.
So, we were talking of, thank you so much, ma'ams, and thank you, sirs, for being here and for being patient with us. So, we were talking of fluency and accuracy. So, whenever we start, whenever students to start to gain confidence, obviously, do you think we would emphasize on fluency, or do you think accuracy would be something that we would like to look at when we talk to our students, when we see them expressing in writing, when we see them reading English, because we are talking of English language here. I'm sorry, you will have to unmute and share with me because I cannot read any of your chats. Out of the two, fluency and accuracy, which one is more important for our students because they are still in the beginner or the intermediate stage of expression? Is my question to all of you.
Ma'am, accuracy.
Accuracy.
Ma'am, accuracy.
Accuracy.
Accuracy. May I have your
This
name
is
also?
ma'am fluency. Ma'am fluency, I will say.
Okay.
Fluency, I
Fluency and
think, is
accuracy. I cannot.
more important. Maybe at a
Fluency.
later stage they can work on
Fluency.
their accuracy, but if they're able to, put forward their thoughts in a fluent manner, that is the main thing that we want from the students. They can work on their accuracy side by side, but fluency, I think, is more important for them.
Thank you,
I
sirs,
agree with
and thank
Vidhu,
you,
ma'am.
ma'ams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with Vidhu, ma'am, that yeah,
Okay.
initially we should focus on because we all are into this communicative language approach thing these days, and we really appreciate this approach. So, according to this also, and what our have experienced in our classrooms, the fluency should be catered first, and later, when students become a little confident about writing, we can always go back to accuracy. It's also important, but fluency first.
Great. So thank you for the varied responses, because only when we have varied responses, we think ourselves, we start to think beyond the normal. So, according to your response, some of you think fluency, some of you think accuracy. Let's just pull back ourselves and first talk about what is fluency here and what is accuracy here. What do these terms actually mean? So, the question is again open for the house. What is fluency?
Ma'am, fluency may be the way of expressing themselves without any hesitation, or I should say any blockage in expressing their views.
Yes, and this caters
Also,
not only to their vocal expression but also to their written expression. Absolutely. There was another response coming, sorry.
yeah, also there is a tolerance to errors like grammatical errors and maybe some spelling errors are tolerated and they are like put aside for
Yes.
a while and we just focus on the expression, on fluency, on speaking these things.
Right. So we overlook the mistakes which sometimes students make. And many a times our students do hesitate to speak and write in English because they feel they will be making a lot of mistakes. So the fear of failure, the fear of committing mistakes is something that pulls them back from expressing themselves. So, like you just said, some of you just agreed to the fact that fluency is something that we can focus more on in the initial stage of their expression, and then, of course, move on to accuracy. So, accuracy here is being accurate, being precise, mistakes. So, as such, mistakes, if they commit mistakes, they are penalized for their mistakes. Like in the written examination, there are certain sections of the English paper where we overlook their mistakes. We just want them to be able to comprehend the text. And there are certain sections like the grammar section where we are very particular about their expression along with their grammatical structures. So they need to be accurate there. They need to have the right kind of expression and information there. So thank you so much. Absolutely. We are all in for communicative language approach, and we totally believe that here we can focus on fluency more than accuracy. And when they reach the later stages, they can focus more on the grammatical aspect as well. So, writing gives voice to our inner thoughts and allows us to share them. It is a form of communication through the form of symbols that are given specific meaning. So, when you started to talk about your grade 12th and your thoughts there, you actually communicated with yourself. You brought all those memories, they were revived. There was a flashback of memories. And that is the first initial step, which thereby leads to writing. Teachers must learn how to create a classroom environment that is conducive to writing and supports effective writing instruction for all learners. I would like to emphasize on all learners here, including struggling writers and English language learners. So, there are students who are struggling with writing. So, how should a teacher be efficient enough? Actually, a teacher is just like a magician, I believe. She is able to weave her magic, and she leaves her students spellbound once she leaves the class. So, this kind of a magic has to be there on all the students because we totally believe in the policy of NCLB. NCLB. I'm sorry I cannot write it on the chat box, but I want you to unmute yourself and please express if any one of you knows what does NCLB stand for.
This is Swati here, ma'am.
Yeah, Swati, please.
NCLB is for No Child Left Behind.
Thank you so much, Swati. You are absolutely correct here.
Ma'am.
NCLB stands for No Child Left Behind. And when we talk of an inclusive classroom, we talk of one size doesn't fit all. We all understand as teachers that we need varied stimulus for our students for any particular skill that we want them to develop. So, keeping in mind their preferred styles of learning, keeping in mind the levels that they have, that some of them might be struggling writers, some of them might be intermediate level efficient, and some of them might be really advanced level learners. So, how we as a teacher, how we as one teacher can tackle so many students in the classroom needs to be learnt by all of us. I guess, okay, it is vital for teachers to understand the stages of writing so they can help their students advance to higher levels. It is a rare class that contains students who are all at the same functional level. And where all students are at the same functional level. Just like we all are different as individuals, are different as learners also. And this is the beauty of the diversity class that we have. Balanced literacy allows teachers to bring students to a higher level, no matter where on the continuum they are. So, if there is a continuum and we feel that students are standing at varied levels here, we need to somehow build that motivation, build that spirit, provide that conducive learning environment where all of them start to be together at one point of time, though they might be at different places earlier. So we have learning, we have projects, we have activities, designed content, inquiry, authentic, depth. These words trigger us and they tell us as to what kind of a classroom environment can we have that is conducive for all our students, where no child is left behind. How to motivate our students to write? So, according to Taylor, if somebody can just read these few lines by Taylor for all of us. Can I have somebody read for us?
According to Taylor, student-centered teaching increases student motivation and engages students in meaningful communication. When students are motivated and communicating in the target language, in this case English, they are more likely to show improvement in learning that language.
Thank you so much. So, as the lines clearly state, that there needs to be an environment where they use the language more often. And when we say when the students are motivated, I would just like to pick up this phrase from in between the text. When students are motivated, we just talked about that all students have different styles of learning. So, how is it that we motivate all the students alike? I mean, imagine we go out for a party and the host of the party, suppose Anamika ma'am is the host and she invites us for a party after we complete our sessions successfully. And Anamika ma'am asks us, okay, what would you like to eat? We would all have different answers. For her as one person, for her as the host, it would be really difficult to take us to a food joint which caters to different kinds of tastes that we have. Somebody might like Italian, somebody might like Indian, somebody might like to eat Chinese, somebody might like ice cream, somebody might say, no, ice creams are not good at this time. So, how is it that we cater to students with different learning styles? Okay, are you aware that we all have different learning styles? There is a term called preferred learning styles. Could someone unmute and tell me what does preferred learning styles actually mean? And which are the different styles of learning that our students or even that learners generally have? They can be adult learners, they can be students as learners. So we all are generally categorized into a few types of learners. Can someone share that information with all of us?
Ma'am, some students learn more by seeing things, some learn more by listening things, and some learn more by doing things. So accordingly, we can
Wow.
say that we have kinesthetic learners who learn by doing things. Then we have auditory learners who learn by listening, and then we have I'm not getting the name. Then we have visual
Visual,
learners who
ekta, yes.
Visual.
visual learners who learn by seeing things when the text is in front of their eyes.
Thank you so much. And I would just say thank you. I do not know your name. I'm sorry for that, but thank you for that wonderful piece of information. So, like you rightly said, we all have different styles of learning. So, I'll give out that term to you. They are called VARK preferred learning styles. V stands for visual, A stands for auditory, R stands for reader style, and K stands for kinesthetic learners. So, VARK preferred styles of learning. The very word preferred here tells us that we all might be able to understand a particular concept by looking at it, by reading it, by listening to it, or by doing it ourselves. But as individuals, we all have uniqueness. By saying preferred learning styles, it may be that yes, I can learn by different modes. I mean, by getting a visual stimulus, by getting an auditory stimulus, by doing things with my own hands. But I might prefer learning by only one or two particular styles. And for this, there is a proper documented tests that is available even on the internet. And there are some people who conduct this well researched and proper documented tests, which clearly indicates the preferred learning styles of students or learners in general. So here I would like to share a little anecdote. Anamika ma'am, can you let me know how much time do we have in hand?
Ma'am, actually we have to a 10 minutes break. So you
Okay.
just need to wind up in 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
Then after
Right.
10 minutes, we'll again have the presentation.
Sure. Thank you so much. Sure. So Anamika ma'am has already signaled us that we need to go for a little break. It's a teeny weeny break and we'll surely come back. And I'll leave you thinking with this. We are talking of preferred styles of learning, VARC styles of learning, and how does understanding different styles of learning in students impact our teaching scenario in our classrooms for our struggling learners? Is my food for thought for all of you. Please refresh yourself, have a cup of tea, and we'll see you right after 10 minutes. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
at 12:35 we'll meet again. So you can have a short break, and at 12:35 we'll start with the presentation again.
Thank you, ma'am. हाँ जी, how are you, Antu? कोई बात नहीं, ठीक चल रहा है। हाँ, बस वही होता। हाँ हाँ, चलो ठीक। देखो अब लास्ट मिनट पे क्या हुआ, आज मैंने सोचा कि मैं चैट बॉक्स देख लूंगी, तो पता चला कि वहां वो स्लाइड ही नहीं प्ले हो रही। सीरियसली सीरियसली, ये तो थैंक गॉड कि मेरे पास स्लाइड थी एज इट इज, बट आई इंटेंशनली वांटेड टू सी द चैट्स, पर वो हो ही नहीं पा रहा। ठीक है, ऐसे भी, बट ओवरऑल ओके है। हाँ हाँ। I basically learned from your way of interaction that it is better to ask people to speak and interact and read rather than you keep doing it. चल ठीक है, कोई भी नहीं। People will understand.
Welcome back. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. Am I audible to all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Aditi ma'am, now we can continue. Aditi ma'am, are you there? Hello. Hello, Aditi ma'am. Can you hear me? Hello.
A very good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Okay. So, a very good afternoon, and thank you so much for being back in time. And sometime back, we were actually talking about, yeah. So, Anamika ma'am, are you sharing or shall I be sharing?
Even I can.
Okay. Please share it, ma'am. If you can share, please share it.
Hello.
Yeah. Kindly share, Anamika ma'am.
Hello.
Yes. Is it Kanika? Yes, Kanika? Anamika ma'am, kindly share the screen if you can. Anamika ma'am, am I audible to you? If possible, kindly share the screen so that I can interact with my participants on the chat box. Yes. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
There's
Okay.
network issues to
No problem.
system. Yeah.
Okay, no problem, ma'am. I'll try to share,
I'm getting
but I
disconnected.
only
Yeah,
miss
I'm
out.
getting disconnected again and again.
Okay, 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 fine. I'll try to do that then. Okay, friends, please tell me, can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks a lot. So, we were just talking about the different learning styles, the preferred learning styles that students have, namely visual learners. We have visual learners, we have auditory learners, we have reader learners, and we have kinesthetic learners. So, I was talking to you about an incident which happened with me, and I very vividly remember it. And I do quote this example many a times in my workshops with teachers because I feel that it has really made me understand the different learning styles much beyond the normal. We all know these are the different learning styles. We all know we probably have one or maybe two dominant styles of learning, though we all can learn through all the different styles that are available. An audio learner can learn through visual stimulus. An audio learner can also learn by hands on practice. An audio learner can read himself or herself and also read and, I mean, can understand. But that person's preferred style might be reading. So, my incident will also make you understand it more clearly. And please share if you have similar incidents with you. I can vividly remember of the time when we were doing a course with SCRT, and every day we had to commute to and fro to SCRT, and it was obviously there were physical courses during that time. So my friend and myself, both of us used to take the metro to reach up to SCRT. And after understanding about the different learning styles and our instructor giving us a questionnaire that all of us in a large group of 50 to 70 participants attempted, we were finally told to try and assess how many answers fall under this category. We were given those rubrics which made us understand individually about our own styles of learning. So after that little test of 10 minutes, when we were given the entire rubrics, and I once calculated through the rubrics, got to know that my preferred learning style is auditory. And my friend who was sitting next to me, her preferred learning style was the reader style. So finally, it was declared by our instructor that okay, so somebody who's got this score has this style of learning, somebody who has got this much score in his test has this style of learning. So for me and even my friend to understand that within a short span of 10 minutes, how is it that somebody who doesn't know me that personally is able to tell me that look, your style, Aditi, your learning style is this much, Mamta, your learning style is this, just by trying to understand the kind of responses that I had given to those particular questions in the questionnaire. I kept thinking about it for long, and even after the class got over, we all were asked to, reach tomorrow again in time. While we were leaving SCRT and heading towards the metro, I still had this thought continuously running in my mind as to how did my instructor, who is not very well known to me because she is an American instructor, and obviously we had met her for the first time during that course, how is it that she was able to tell me that my style is an auditory style, and my friend Mamta, her style is a reader style, and somebody else is a visual learner? So when we reached the metro, we were supposed to take a different route that day, and we were quite puzzled as to which metro line are we supposed to take. So I said, Mamta, which line do you think we should be taking? Do you know the route quite, clearly? So she was like, wait, Aditi, I'll just try to find out. So she tried to read the signboards that were there in the metro. Like we had Antu ma'am sharing the strategy with us in the morning about metro announcements. And my friend tried to decipher the information from the information that was given on the signboards as to where do we need to deboard and where do we need to take the metro on for the red line and so on and so forth. And when she talked to me, I said, come on, Mamta, what are you doing? I'll just ask the passerby and, request somebody to guide me through the way. So she said, oh, come on, Aditi, it's much easier to read and find out. And eureka, it happened at that moment. I realized that we are different individuals with different learning styles. Just a few hours back, we were told that, that I have my learning style as an auditory style, and my friend Mamta had the reader style that was dominant in her. And we actually figured it out. It was true. She was trying to read the information and understand the roots. And I was just wanting to ask someone and hear that, yes, this is the right way to go. So, such incidents do make us realize that these things hold a lot of importance. And since that day, I have started to very emphatically feel that, yes, I prefer listening and understanding. I'm doing a lot of online courses nowadays because we have MOOCs which are readily available for anybody and everybody who wants to do. So instead of reading a PDF, I would try to look for the audio script, right? So can any one of you tell me if you have had any such similar, incidents or experiences in the past that you would like to share with all of us here on the platform?
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I can tell
Yes,
about
please.
myself. I'm not having any kind of like experience similar to you, but I know about myself that yes, I know about me. I am an auditory learner because when I was doing graduation, it usually happens to me that whenever a teacher took class and whatever I listen to the teacher, I can understand that very easily. Then I can go through the text and then I can learn it very easily. But otherwise, if teacher has skipped any part and I have to go it by myself through reading or through anything else, that would be a difficult part for me. But otherwise, whatever I listen, I can understand it much in a much better way.
Thank you so much. And I think you have actually understood yourself quite well because this is what is the first step towards realization. So, when we understand about our own styles, at the same time, we also understand that just like we adult learners show different styles of learning, likewise, our students, the classroom that we have in front of us, comprising of 40, 50, or 60 students, they are all diverse learners. So, whenever we are taking up a lesson, whenever we are taking up a topic, a concept, a writing skill, be it a listening, a speaking, or reading, whatever skill we expect our students to, have by the end of the class, that is, whatever learning outcome we have set for our lesson, for our class, needs to be fulfilled. So there has to be an amalgamation of different kind of stimulus that we need to provide our students with, different kind of TLM that we need to have, so that supposingly there are students like you and me who understand better through hearing. There are other students like my friend Mamta who would probably understand better by reading. So, knowingly or unknowingly, sometimes we are actually writing on the board, we are talking to our students, we are wanting them to read aloud, we are wanting them to silently read, we make them do group discussions. But knowingly also, we need to take care of this aspect. Well, we'll move on because I know there is a lot to talk about, but the time constraint is always there. So, whenever we think of a student centered teaching approach, we need to encapsulate the different learning styled strategies in that 40-minute duration for our students so that their engagement, their motivation, their communication is more meaningful and authentic. We move on to our next. Okay, well, feel free to respond. So, do you think the information about different learning styles that we have just shared with you somehow appeals to you and you also agree to it? Well, I am not going to provide you the link which has been mentioned here due to certain handicaps today, but I will surely be taking up one such session where we'll be having a practical demonstration of writing, and I will be providing you a link to respond. Maybe the next session that can have. So please unmute and tell me, do you somehow agree that we as teachers need to have our TLM, need to have our strategies in such a way that we can trigger each and every student in the classroom and make them get set and go? Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
It should be like that, because if we cannot cater our students' need, how will be able to make them understand the topic and the language and the content better we want to.
Thank you so much. So that gives me a confirmation that what we are talking of is actually making some sense. Now, whenever we think of writing, we immediately connect it to the writing skills that we have in our classrooms for our students. But much before that structured writing, there needs to be a space that our students get for free writing. Free writing per se, where there are no formats, where there is no word limit, where there is no accuracy, where there is just expression and fluency as far as possible. Free writing could be expression in just words, phrases, sentences, paragraphs. The more the merrier, but less is not the least. Individuals often use free writing as a pre writing technique in which they write continuously for a certain amount of time and ignore the grammatical rules. So, when you get onto your class, a virtual class or an F2F class, give them a topic. For example, if you meet the coronavirus face to face, what would you do? I know this is something which is high on everybody's minds nowadays, and it's been for almost 8 months that we've been thinking and hearing all about it. So there could be some topic which could be easy for them, for which they already have a lot of information. Because it's not that every time we want to judge them, we want to keep testing and assessing them. No, there should be a time when they really need not bother about how much and how little and how much more. So, supposingly they are given this topic, which is very familiar to them. If you think your students are of class 6th or 7th, where they fall short of words, the words that they have are not in their active vocabulary, they are in their passive vocabulary. So, they are not able to use those words. So, what you can do is you can have a brainstorming session much before the free writing task, also, because there are no set rules for free writing. The word says it all. It's just free writing. You can carry on the way you wish to. So do not be worried about that. Uh, okay, just one more minute. Okay, yeah. So during the free writing process, you proceed as if you were writing the essay or story itself. Another way to think of free writing is by way of the term stream of consciousness, where you allow your mind to go where it will, from one idea to another. So they don't have to bother about being coherent. They don't have to bother about the flow of thoughts that need to be proper. So they can just go on bazooka. As you plan out your composition in a more organized way, you may later eliminate what you initially wrote down. So, this can be said as a rough draft also, because that is something that we really promote in our classes. We ask our students to make a rough draft, which is a little modified version of the free writing, I would say. And in the rough draft, whatever comes to their mind, the moment they read or hear about the topic, whatever ideas and thoughts are bombarded in their mind, they just put it down on paper. And they later start to eliminate the unnecessary ones. They later start to organize the ones. The first comes first and then comes the last. That can all be seen much, much later. Free writing can help you break free from the writer's block and narrow down a topic. Just like in the first session, the initial few minutes, we thought about all that we wanted to express. So here also, they are actually writing down all that they wish to finally express. You can give them a stipulated time, because time is something which is very necessary for a student to know that they have just this much of time for this dedicated task. Otherwise, you know what happens? The struggling learners, they would take more time. The ones who are efficient at it, they would quickly do it, and then they would start disturbing the rest of the class, or they would try to look out for something else hands on, which becomes difficult for one teacher as to take care of for the entire class. So somehow, if supposingly 5 minutes are given, that all students know, okay children, you just have 5 minutes to do this task, they know that they have to somehow complete it within that stipulated time. Okay, so what we have been talking since morning can actually be categorized into two parts again. We know there are receptive skills, we know there are productive skills. Receptive skills are the skills where we are just receiving information from others, and we are at the receiver's end, and we are just taking all that is coming our way. Okay, so out
Ma'am,
of these
receptive
four
means
skills, yeah, I can hear somebody asking something. Ma'am, can you repeat it again?
no,
His
ma'am.
mic is,
No, ma'am.
yeah, please.
I I give only answer of receptive skill and productive skills.
Okay, ma'am, please tell me. Thank you for the answer before the question, but please let me know, what do you think about receptive and productive skills here? I'll just give you a small hint, though you already might be knowing, it seems. There are two skills out of these four, L, S, R, and W, that are receptive skills, and the rest two are productive skills. So, ma'am, thank you so much. Please, can I have the answer?
Speaking and writing are productive skills, and listening and reading are receptive.
Okay, do all of you agree with what we have just heard? Ma'am said listening and reading are receptive skills, and speaking and writing are productive skills.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
It's
the
right.
rest of you, do you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
A yes or a no? Okay, okay, so I heard three of you say yes to it. So, like said,
Yes,
absolutely,
ma'am.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Listening
ma'am.
and reading are receptive skills, and productive skills are skills wherein, after receiving information about pronouncing the words in a particular way, about the style and the intonation, about understanding all the nuances of English language, we finally start to produce these on our own. So when we speak the language, when we write the language, like one of you just mentioned some time back, that writing is a skill that comes much later. And I would say, unfortunately, in our education system, somehow the trend has been such that we expect our students, our learners, to write at a much early stage. So somehow the input that is required, the receptive skills that should have been provided to them, are somehow not enough for them to produce the productive skills that well as they should have. So, here at this point, because we are all teachers, we are all from the same fraternity, I would really appeal to all you English people, English teachers out there, that we really need to provide authentic stimulus for listening to our students first and foremost. And I think if I appeal to all of you, you would also communicate the same with your students. Because when you communicate with your students in the target language, they listen to the language all throughout, at least in those 40 minutes of your online or offline teaching. And the prerequisite for all the other skills is listening. Only when a student listens enough will he be able to speak. And when he speaks it, he would know the formation, and when he reads well, he would be able to write. So like Antu ma'am in one of her sessions was asking you about what do you read, how much do you read. Ma'am is a voracious reader. She's a colleague of mine, she's a dear colleague of mine, and I have seen her reading voraciously. So I think the more you read, the better you can write. So when we expect our students to excel in the skill, in the writing skill which we are talking of in today's session, we must ensure as teachers, rather we are now in the role of a facilitator. It is not because, it's not education is not filling of a pail. It's not that our students are, it's not a jug and mug theory that they are mugs and we are jugs and we are just pouring our knowledge into them. No, education is not filling of a pail, it is a lighting of a fire. So we need to ignite the interest in our students so that they automatically get interested further on, which leads them towards their own betterment and refinement of this so called foreign language. English was once called foreign language, whereas now it is a lingua franca. It is a language of communication, it is a language of interaction. And if a person doesn't know any other language as good as a person knows English, I think that person will be able to somehow manage in different parts of the world. So we really need to motivate our students to be able to be efficient in their productive skills. And for giving out this efficiency in productive skills, they need to be receiving their skills well. So for this, the onus is entirely on the teacher, that is all of us. Any questions still here, or can we move further ahead? Any questions still here, friends? Okay, so if there's no answer, I take it as we can move ahead. Teaching writing to ESL students. So since morning, we have been touching upon pre-writing, free writing, rough draft. So actually pre-writing is the first stage where you probably just mull your ideas in your head. And this stage of the process is designed to stimulate thoughts, because that is a time when things just rush into our mind quickly. But sometimes if we don't use the pre-writing stage well, if we do not dedicate the stipulated time for the first stage, we somehow lack our ideas that we need to express in the written form towards the later stage. उस टाइम तो बहुत सारे आइडियाज रश कर रहे होते हैं, बट if you do not jot them down somewhere, when it is the final time to write the final draft, we fall short of ideas. So the best is to just record them the way they are coming to us. Next, begin to revise by checking the content, organization, and clarity. Once the content roughly is there in front of us, we need to see as to, is it enough according to the word limit? Is it enough according to what is expected from say a grade 7th or 8th student, if the child is in 7th or 8th? And at the same time, if the child is a 10th grader student, he needs to understand that his content needs to be really much more in terms of richness, in terms of vocab, in terms of coherence, than a 6th class student. Okay, they have to check the organization. So what I mean is, the flow of thoughts, the coherence of thoughts. So the first comes first. It is not that whatever the conclusion can come before, and then there can be intermingling of ideas. So the person who would read the content presented by the writer would not be able to understand it. It would seem like a jigsaw in front of them. So there needs to be an organization of thoughts, and there needs to be a clarity. So before the clarity comes on paper, there needs to be clarity in the mind of the student. And the final phase is editing before presentation. So we have to teach our students how to put up their ideas. They might be having fantastic ideas in their minds, but if they are unable to express, the examiner will not be able to, just understand what is in their mind. The examiner needs to see what is on paper. So the principles of writing, as we can put it, our children, we are here focusing on how we can improve the performance of our students. So our children need to read the topic or the question very carefully. They need to make a rough draft of all the thoughts that rush to their mind. So intentionally the word rush has been put in here. Try to arrange the points in a coherent flow of thoughts and ideas. So for this sequencing, if we can have small activities where we have a common story, we narrate a common story to them which they must have often heard. Suppose it is a hare and the tortoise, and we then try to break that short story into small fragments on paper, say one sentence per strip of paper, and we put it out on the blackboard in a jumbled fashion and ask the students to arrange it in the correct flow, the way it should be. Mind it, here there need not be one set correct answer. So there might be a little change in the flow of thoughts that should be acceptable, but the basic trend should remain the way it sounds and looks correct. Use simple and clear language to frame sentences in your answer and be expressive. So when I talk of simple and clear language, when I talk of being expressive, I here very clearly indicate of their not only presentation of the content, but also their vocab part. So vocabulary can be enhanced through two different ways. There can be incidental vocabulary and there can be intentional vocabulary. So I did hint a little about it in the first session about vocab, but here again I can just slightly touch upon it. Incidental vocabulary, and which is the other one that I just mentioned? Can I hear? Incidental vocabulary and intentional vocabulary. So just hearing the word, can somebody just tell me what is incidental vocabulary and what is intentional vocabulary? Waiting for your audio response. I'm an audio learner. Okay, it seems you want to give me the privilege of speaking some more for some more time. Incidental vocabulary and intentional vocabulary. So when we think that, when we have it very clear in our mind that we want to learn some new words, we want to acquire the language, let me just pick up the dictionary and look at 2 or 3 new words with their meanings, or the act of putting a new word on the blackboard after every 2 or 3 days, so that the students read the new word, they understand the new word, they start to apply the new word, is actually intentional, a part of the intentional vocabulary, because we are providing it.
Incidental vocabulary is generally described as picking up of new words when students are engaged in reading, even listening, speaking, or writing task. That is called incidental acquisition.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So incidental, like ma'am just said, I don't need to add more clarity. It's quite clear that when they just understand the meaning of the word when it is being used is incidental. They're just incidentally picking it up. So here, when we provide the vocabulary in different forms and the students start to use it, that is what is the meaning of our students trying to be expressive. I hope I have been able to justify my ideas, my thoughts, and my presentation here. Now, I would like to invite any of the questions or any of the feedback that you have on this part of the session.
Ma'am, can you repeat incidental vocabulary and intentional vocabulary?
Sure. So, may I ask some of my friends here who were answering and listening at the same time? Because I think somebody in the participants, I'm sorry, I'm not able to get your name till now. Is it Vijeta? Vijeta ma'am, did you just ask?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, incidental vocabulary and intentional vocabulary. Who can just put it up very quickly or maybe in the chat box?
Incidental vocabulary is learning vocabulary or new words incidentally, like from speaking, listening, or doing any reading skill. It will be called incidentally coming across through new words. But intentional vocabulary will be learning vocabulary or new words intentionally, like by choice. If I'm getting new words from dictionary, or intentionally I'm trying to add on some words or some meaningful, I must say meaningful words to my vocabulary, that would be intentional vocabulary.
Thank you so much, Kanika Bansalji. Thank you so much for that. I hope it's clear now.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other?
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, most welcome. Any other question that comes up to your mind? Anything that you would like to share about writing skills? Because today we've covered writing skills theory, and next time when I meet you very soon, we would be talking about the practical implication and how we can engage our students more in starting to write, I would say. So any more questions, any feedback on the session?
Any of the friends can share their experiences. And if you have any query, then you can put your query here.
Thank you so much, Kanika ma'am, for the encouragement that you give me by writing in the chat box. And I think at this point, I would also like to give a special mention to the importance of feedback. I really get inspired. I really feel motivated when I listen to, what you feel about the session. And at the same time, it's a great learning for me also. Thank you, Vakil sir, for putting it up. Thank you, Yashpal ji. Because that is a time when we understand as to what is it that we need to improve upon as well. And I think your words, they really give me that energy to keep going in spite of all odds, in spite of the little storm that comes up just before the session. Thank you, Kanika ji, and thank you, Kalpana ma'am. Wow, great session, remarkable, fantastic. These words, they just create a magic, and you'll really make my day. Thank you so much.
And definitely, Aditi ji, it was a very remarkable presentation from your side and very informative, very clear.
Thanks.
So if there is no query, that we can take it as everybody is very much clear to the participants.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Aditi ji.
Yashpal ji, Ekta ji, and Harikesh ji. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anamika ma'am, for being there all the time that we need you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you so much to all my friends as a participants. So we'll see you tomorrow at 9:30. Now you can take a leave from the session. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks.